Okay, so this is day 38, maybe 39, because I got two day 34 reviews somehow. So, anyway, got up this morning. We were in Du Bois, however you want to say it, depending on where you're from, on US 26, a little ways east of Teton National Park. And it was cold this morning. I think it was 36. So that was down in the town. I'm sure it was even colder and windier up on the mountain at the campground where we were going to stay at the Falls Campground. Um, so yeah, and it rained a good chunk of the night and blew like crazy. So you know, probably a good thing that we just got the hotel. Yeah, we're weenies. We're okay with that. So anyway, got up, and the plan was to head back out of town the way we came to the east to what was it, the
National Museum of Military Vehicles.
National Museum of Military Vehicles. If you've never been there, I highly recommend this place. I can't remember the name of the dude that put it together. He's one of these billionaires, and dropped $100 million on the building. And when you pull into the parking lot, there's just this huge pavilion with all kinds of vehicles under it. And then there's a big gravel parking lot out to one side with all kinds of vehicles in it, including an old MiG jet, fighter jet. Um, but when you go in the main building, there's a gun vault that has guns from the Revolutionary War all the way up to modern age. Some just amazing stuff. And then if you actually walk through all of the exhibits, the actual exhibits, I believe, start with World War II. But then they're kind of in an odd order because they also have some stuff, I think, from the Spanish American War. Um, anyway, we started in like a World War II area, and you go through it, and it's just all kinds of vehicles, tanks, motorcycles. There's some aircraft, um, but it's not just these displays of just here's a vehicle, here's a vehicle, here's a vehicle. The whole museum kind of tells the stories, and the exhibits show not just the vehicle, but here's a vehicle in a context with mannequin soldiers around them dressed in period costumes with proper equipment on them, proper equipment around the vehicle, just all kinds of stuff. And then the whole museum itself, has like sounds depending on what section of the museum you're in, lighting, just really cool. Like one area we were going through, it's like, you're supposed to be hearing bombers fly over your head. So you look up and there's screens above your head, and I guess there's projectors on the ceiling above the screens shooting images down. So it's like you're looking up and seeing bombers flying over your head and you're hearing them. I mean, it's pretty cool. And it goes all through World War II, it goes through Korea and then Vietnam. And then towards the end, I saw some stuff that was, you know, Spanish American War, really old stuff like steam powered stuff and some weird stuff, before the gas engines really begin to take over. Uh, all kinds of guns, and I don't mean just handguns, but like artillery, some huge pieces, every kind of tank I think I've ever seen, and then some. Didn't really have much in the way of non American tanks or equipment. I mean, it did have some guns that were non American, but for the most part, it's American equipment. But anyway, it was just really well done. The Vietnam one was really cool. I mean, there's a section where you're walking through it and you're walking through like a bamboo jungle at night with all the noises and everything. And then there's spots where you can see like booby traps and the different kinds of mines and just all kinds of stuff that, that the soldiers would have to face. Um, Exhibits that showed equipment they used. Um, just really cool. I mean, You could probably look the place up. It's like $20 to get in if you're over 18, $12 I think if you're under 17, free if you're a veteran or active duty. And it's pretty busy. I mean, this thing's out in the middle of nowhere. It's outside of town, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles, 7 miles outside of town. So we had got there at 9:30 thinking we'd spend an hour or so and then head out and, get to where we're going. So 3 hours later, we made ourselves leave. There was still more to see. And we were cruising through it pretty fast. We weren't reading every little thing. And you could spend weeks in this place. I mean, it's really amazing. The guy who owns it has spent a lot of money. And there was quite a few people, standing around that would talk to you and answer questions and just, very professional, very well done. They did have guided tours. The guided tour of just the World War II section was a little over 2 hours, so we didn't do that. We just did the self-guided tour. But yeah, totally worth $20. I mean, this place could almost be a vacation destination itself. Just keep in mind that the town of Du Bois shuts down early. After 7 o'clock, we were having a hard time finding dinner last night. Really annoying. So anyway, we got out of there, ran back to town, filled up with gas, and then just continued heading west on US 26. And we ran up to the campground that we were going to stay at. And the ride up there was beautiful because the aspen trees, the last few nights have gotten pretty cold. So, bam, the aspen trees are changing like crazy now. It's really pretty, especially once we got past it and started getting closer to Teton National Park. And just lots of colors. So we got to the campground, rode in there. There were actually some people camping, not a lot. They look like they've done some improvements to the campground since I was last there in 2017. Every single campsite has a table, a fire pit, a bear box, to store your food in. There's a lot of bathrooms. We parked near one of the bathrooms where we camped last time, right where the site was where we camped, and then walked this little short trail down to the waterfall. And it's just a really cool waterfall. It's not huge in terms of volume. It's pretty, and it falls a long way down a pretty steep valley. So it's just got lots of steps, just, cascading down through this narrow valley, and you can hear it. Really cool. And then there's also just some really neat mountains as a backdrop. Just really cool rock formations and stuff. So took a bunch of pictures, shot some video, got out of there, continued on 26. And, the ride on 26 when you're heading towards, I think it's called Morgan Point or something like that, where US 191 splits off. And we turned right and went over towards the lakes. And right away, as we were coming in, you could see the mountains in the distance. But man, there was a lot of rain coming in from the southwest, and it was coming towards us. And Sarah and I stopped and zipped everything up, buttoned up real tight, changed our gloves, got ready for the worst of it. And never really, we got some sprinkles and some wind, the temperature dropped. But it always seemed like the rain was like just over there, thank goodness. When we actually got to the entrance to the park, there's quite a few people still up here. It's amazing. We didn't have to wait in line or anything, but we got in the park, found some cool overlooks, and there were some pretty dramatic looking storm clouds on the horizon. As we started getting closer to the mountains, like to the base of the mountains and stuff, where all the cool pullouts are, for all your scenic views, the mountains themselves are starting to get enveloped in heavy rain, fog, low ceiling. But somehow, we went south. I don't know what the road is. It goes right along the lakes. Yeah, I can't get to show me what the road is, but it's the one that goes all the way down to, it's the Inner Park Road, yeah. And it goes all the way down to Jackson, or just outside Jackson. And somehow or another, we managed to miss a lot of rain. On our left, back towards the Snake River, it was like a giant curtain. I mean, you could just see the rain coming down. It looked really nasty. I was really glad it was over there and not where we were. Um, as we got closer to the mountains, that rain got heavier, but it stayed in the mountains. It didn't come out really over to the road. I mean, we got some sprinkles. There were some places where it was obvious right before we got there, it had rained really hard. Uh, at one point, Sarah and I were riding down the road, and Daniel was behind us. It was raining so hard in the mountain that it was shoving all the air down off the mountain across the road. Huge, strong gusts that were making it hard to keep the bikes in their lanes. Sarah's going in a straight line ahead of me, and she's leaned over like she's going through some big fast curve or something. I mean, it was pretty amazing. At one point, we were getting ready to pull out of a parking lot, and a huge gust hit, and I saw her bobble to the left at the same time. I was bobbling to the left, trying to get a foot down to keep the bike from going over. And I pulled up on the right side of her to try to block some of the wind for her so she wouldn't have to work so hard while she was trying to pull out. But got through that, and we stopped at a little rest stop so everyone could go to the restroom. And just like that, the sun starts coming out on the backside of the clouds and lighting up the mountains. And we got some really beautiful views of the glaciers up high in the mountain and, the rock formations and everything. And yet still just back to our left, it was bucketing down. I mean, it was just crazy. And we could see big jets, passenger jets coming in, to Jackson, flying in low, trying to skirt in between the storms. It was kind of cool. But eventually we got to the exit of the Inner Park Road, and there's another little road just to the right that you can take. I think it's Wilson Road or something like that. It used to be dirt when I was here last time. It was a fun dirt road, graded dirt road, not that much traffic because it was dirt. Oh, God. Signs everywhere saying, do not stop. Don't get out of your car to view the wildlife, blah, blah, blah. Nobody pays attention to those signs. This is a super narrow, it's 2 lane technically, but there's no center line. And, if 2 cars meet head on, you got to both be hugging the shoulder to get past each other. And this knucklehead in a Jeep stops and has traffic backed up forever because there's a little bear up in the weeds that you can barely even see. And I mean, he kept everybody stopped for a long time. A couple folks started honking. People were getting kind of irritated. You couldn't get around him because you couldn't tell if any traffic was coming the other direction. You couldn't see around him. And then if people did come the other direction, they would stop right next to the guy, and they'd sit there backing up traffic. So it's just really irritating. So by the time we finally got around him, it was just bumper to bumper the whole rest of the way. Now, it is nice, brand new pavement. I mean, they put a lot of work into this road. They could stand to make some pullouts maybe, but, at the very beginning of the road, there was a moose standing down in the water. Oh, man, there were so many people parked and pulled over watching this moose just stand in the water. I mean, it's cool to see a moose, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, city folks, I guess, never seen a wild animal. Anyway, we got through all that, got to the end of the road, got down to the highway that cuts across, comes out of Jackson, goes through the little town of Wilson, and then goes up over the mountains, Wyoming 22, and bucket load of construction right there. So I noticed a few people getting in the right lane and turning into this park area. So I started zooming in on the GPS, and sure enough, there was a little road that skirted around all that construction and came out on 22 past the construction. So we hoofed it in there, got behind them, got around all that pretty quick. Got on 22, ran up 22, and it was dry going up, really beautiful views, but you could see it was about to get wet. And sure enough, as we came over the summit, it started to, the road was wet. It wasn't coming down real hard. It was kind of sprinkling on us. It had been raining there. All the rain that, we saw come through the mountains earlier had come from that direction. So we're cruising down, trying to catch up to Sarah because she kept going when we stopped to take pictures. And as we roll into Victor, we pull into this Sinclair gas station. Yeah, we're going in to grab stuff, take a break. and it starts to rain a little better, and you can see there's a lot of rain coming. So we were trying to stay in Driggs. So that's 9 miles up the road. So I was like, all right, let's just get on the bikes. Let's get going. Let's get ahead of this rain because I really don't want to ride in the rain if we don't have to. And we'd been really, really lucky about threading through the storms that were floating all over the place today. So, we got on the road, got up to Driggs. We were looking for the Super 8, which happened to be on the far north end of town. We did find it. Got in there. Took a little while to get out of the parking lot. There was a museum. What was that museum? It had all kinds of like steam engines and stuff out front, and it looked like it'd be pretty cool, but it was closed. But we didn't have time to mess with it. We were trying to find somewhere to eat. So got back out of there and went into town. Tried to head into town. Talked to a local kid at a gas station. He wasn't much help. Couldn't find anything actually in Driggs that looked like it would be worth trying to eat at. So finally, we just turned around and went all the way back to Victor. 9 miles, no big deal. But we're riding back into the nasty weather, the rain, and wasn't real happy about that. But what are you gonna do? It's 4:45, something like that. So we get into Victor, start looking around. We find this place. Can't remember what it's called, Brakeman Burger or something. They open at 5. It looked like everywhere we were going, everything is closed. It's just, I don't know. It's like after Labor Day, everybody just shuts down, even though there's obviously people everywhere trying to find meals. I mean, all the hotels are still booked. When I tried to get that room at the Super 8, it was one of the last 2 or 3 rooms they had. So I'm not sure why all the stores are closing down. But anyway, this place opened at 5, and there were people inside. So we just sat outside kind of in the rain. It was drizzling pretty good, wearing our gear. And finally, the lady came over and pulled the chain on the open sign and unlocked the door, and we went inside. And that place started filling up really quick. I mean, we got in there first. A couple more people came in, and then while we were ordering, more people come in. It's not a big place, and pretty soon every table's full. Now, the food was really good. I got some kind of steak and cheese monster sandwich that was just really good. Daniel got a burger that was good. He just passed out on me. He ate it, so it must have been pretty good. Sarah got some chicken strips that were okay. But yeah, we got out of there and we were like gonna go get some ice cream down the road, but we wanted to get back. While we were sitting there waiting on our food, I get a text from Expedia telling me there's an urgent message from the Super 8. It's like, okay, that's kind of strange. Check the message and it says, "Hi, David." Not my name. And it says that all their reservations have been canceled because they're having plumbing issues. So bizarre. I went outside, actually called the Super 8, and they're like, yeah, we're having massive plumbing issues. All their reservations were canceled. So here we are, a little after 5. Now we got to find a place to stay. So we get on Google and we start searching around and found a little place. I don't know what it's, Cobblestone Inn or something like that. Happened to be just a block from where we were already at, so we didn't have to turn around and go all the way back up to Driggs. And it's really nice, and they had a room left, and it happens to be a double queen handicap room, so the bathroom is gigantic, and it's got all the handrails everywhere and the seat in the bathtub and all that kind of stuff. But it's a nice hotel, a nice room. I think it includes breakfast. And we tried to go get ice cream. And our luck just, they closed at 7. We didn't get there at 7. We got there just after 7. Ran across the street to the gas station thinking, well, okay, we'll get something there. But, the night before when we were in Du Bois, all the gas stations were closed at 7. And they had 24-hour pumps, but, they were closed early. We did manage to get something. It was the worst ice cream I'd ever had. It was very disappointing to walk that far to get such bad ice cream, but came back to the hotel, and Daniel came up to the hotel, and Sarah and I went to this little brewery next door, Wildfire Brewery or something like that, and they had some huge painting class going on in there with like 25, 30 people painting great herons, standing in the water with the mountains in the background, while they're eating pizza and drinking beer and all that. I was like, okay, great. I got like a little sampler that has like 4 or 5 ounce cups of different beers, and we just sat there and hung out and did the people watching thing. And shortly before we left, the guy that was running the place starts yelling at these guys at one table to just get out. I mean, he was like, just get out. I didn't see anything happen leading up to this. But the manager guy just starts making this huge scene, screaming at these dudes to get out. And, of course, he's getting so loud that everybody in the restaurant's stopping what they're doing to watch. It gets real quiet. And, of course, the guys he's yelling at are embarrassed that they're being yelled at. And they didn't look like they were drunk or being obnoxious. They kind of stood up and they were looking at the guy like, what? And he didn't relent. He made him leave. So I was worried that it might start getting ugly because he was being so pushy about it. It could have been a little more subtle, but whatever. That was our cue to bug out. I was like, God, it must be like 10:30 or something. Sarah's like, it's 8:40. It's like, okay, fine. We need to go back to the hotel. And of course, it's cold. It's pouring down rain again. So it's nice to have a dry, warm place to sleep. Tomorrow, I'm not sure what we're going to do because I'd planned a route that involved a good bit of dirt going back south towards Diamondville, trying to get us back towards Colorado. I think it's just a gravel road, but it follows a river all the way through the mountains, so it shouldn't be a technical road. But, a dirt road, if it gets wet, can become very technical. I don't want to ride a big 600, 700-pound bike in the mud. So, I don't know. We thought about going back over to Lava Hot Springs in Idaho and sitting in the river again, but that's kind of out of the way. So we may just run boring highways, to get down there. Just get us back to Colorado and get us back towards where we want to be. So anyway, today was a great day. The riding was fun. The weather was not a big issue. And that museum, yeah, if you're any kind of a war buff, war equipment buff, anything like that, you gotta come see this place. It's really amazing. So good day today. We'll let you know what happens tomorrow. Bye.